this thing on? Anyone home? Live. Ooh. Intro music. Yo, how are we looking here? Night, everyone. Hope you brought your milk and cookies. Just want to make sure everything is looking alright. Alright, how much persons do we have here? Just 2. Can you guys hear and see me properly? I always do this whole live stream check. Slow mode is on. Yada. Alright, cool. Boom. Alright, I would want to wait until more persons are in. Alright, just listen to the disclaimer for the only 2 persons here right now. Somebody is supposed to drop something off for me, so it should be just coming to my gate, so there'll be a point in time when I'll just go pick it up and come back, but it won't take me long. So just getting that little disclaimer out from now. But 2 persons better than none at all. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Of course, I feel like I'm going to decide to call these segments the Uchiha Corner. I mean, it kind of has a vibe to it, I think. Just the right amount of ridiculousness, if I do say so myself. Again, can you guys type in the chat? Let me know if you can hear and see me properly, I guess. Just want to make sure. And natural, I'm asking you guys to share the stream because, of course, tonight, the next requested for the second Uchiha Corner. That's going to be like a tentative title until further notice. Of course, as you can see, tonight we'll be discussing the 4th Great Ninja War, ranging from my experience with the arc, what I thought. And I'll try to be objective and naturally subjective in terms of my criticisms. But yeah, for the most part. Let's see. Just want to share out the stream on my part here. Let me just go over here. Give me a sec, people. Let's see. All right. So for now. Let's see. Let's see here. You general. Alright. We are going live. That's how much persons we're gonna get tonight. Going live. Alright, so up to 3 persons, which as for you just said, say with these streams is better than 0. So yeah, how is everyone tonight? Darius Campbell, welcome to the stream. Yeah, man. Oh yeah, respect for letting me know. I thought everyone's just going to just watch me continually ask if everything is Gucci or not. So yeah. But yeah, man, welcome to the stream. Hope everyone's having a great night. Hope you had an awesome week. And as I said, tonight I'll be talking the 4th Great Ninja War with the one disclaimer that I should be picking up something from somebody who's coming to drop it off. So yeah, but let's get right into it. Yo, honestly, the final arc of the Naruto story, the main Naruto story at least, before we got into the whole Boruto era, this is like what, 2010, give or take, because the arc was about just a bit under 200 chapters. So this is about 2010 going to 2011. I'm literally in grade 10 going into grade 11. So yeah, interesting times, if you know, to say the least. And naturally, we would have started the arc coming off the flashback with, with Kushina explaining the all the context for the night of Naruto's birth, and of course, Naruto would have started the arc with Ninetales Chakra Mode, our KCM1, and naturally, we had the whole setup for the arc being, Obito, or at least Madara, who we thought was Madara at the time, declaring war. And we have what, 100,000 White Zetsu versus 80,000 Shinobi. And honestly, it's a nice little setup for the arc, to say the least. I thought the arc started off strong, to say the least, but honestly, a lot of the points I would have mentioned from my last show, from Naruto versus Naruto Shippuden, a lot of the problems, are one of the main problems, kind of comes back to plague this arc going into it. Because the thing is, as the final arc of Naruto, naturally, it's supposed to be paying off a lot of the story beats that have been built up until this point. But, you know, going into a war, I'm not gonna say we don't care about majority of the characters, but I don't think going into the arc, I don't think we really care about a lot of the characters as much as we could have, thanks to the fact that Shippuden, our part 2, decided to narrow down what it was focusing on. So a lot of the supporting characters really got, drafted to being background characters. So even though it was the whole theme, or the whole vibe they were going into the arc with, was the fact that, this is the first time the Konoha 11, or whatever the case may be, this is the first time they're going to be experiencing war. Outside of, say, Naruto and, say, probably Shikamaru, those two, and probably just Inoshika in general, I thought everybody else was just, I don't think I was as emotionally invested in, everybody else's experience in the war. Or at least not as much as I thought most of us could have been, is what I'm saying. So I'm not gonna downplay it and say there was no emotional investment, but I thought it could have been better in terms of that connection between us and the actual arc. So yeah, that's what I was saying. But I must say, going into the arc, looking back at it, or thinking back on it, I was really hyped for it, because, like, I'm not gonna lie, when I heard, or when I realized, or when it was just basically revealed that, Kabuto was bringing back all of these Akatsuki members and dead shinobi, I'm like, oh shit, how are they gonna really handle all these old shinobi and thing? Oh, hold on, give me a sec, guys. Alright, sorry about that, peeps. Back at it again. Back at it again. You still here? Doop, 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 doop. Alright, so where did I leave off? Shit. Completely lost my train of thought. No, I did speak about the supporting characters. Where did I leave off? Hold on, hold on. Shit. Can someone remind me where I left off? What was the last thing I said before I went? I lost my train of thought here. Supporting characters. Oh yeah, I was talking about the getting into the arc and how hype it was. Yeah, so as I was saying, getting into the arc was pretty hype, I'm not gonna lie. I had high expectations, but I mean, I guess I kinda can't I should blame myself back then, because logically speaking, since they beat all of these Akatsuki members already, it would have been easier to beat them, you know, the second time around. But honestly, it's like going into the arc after with that expectation to see, like, to say how hype it was going to be, and it was kind of met with just this it's going like, it's just on a level, if you ask me. Like, I thought, if memory serves right, the arc starts off with the fight against Sasori and Deidara, the encounter between Sai's unit and Kankuro, and all of them encountering Sasori and Deidara. And for the most part, it kind of feels like the arc is kind of delving, like, into, like, at the start, it kind of feels like we're already setting it up for, you know, all these characters to come back to get that final, you know, peace of mind, or final, you know, finish sorting out their mental or issues in life. He hasn't been coming to terms with the shit they've done. It kind of feels like we're setting it up for that already. And between that and the setup for the fight on the beach with, you know, King Kaku and King Kaku, basically Naruto finalizing his training and eventually learning about the whole learning about the whole war going on, which was at a funny moment, if you ask me, because after all this time, we finally get introduced back to Iruka again in that section of the arc, and we actually I don't think we ever see him again going forward. Granted, I don't think it would have been any significance, but I mean, it was just funny when I think about it. But I mean, going from there, as I said, we have this whole setup with, you know, 100,000 Zetsus versus, you know, 80,000 Shinobi, and I don't even actually remember how the first day ended, if I'm being quite honest. But I do remember by the end of the first day, we had 40,000 Shinobi dying, and like 50,000 Zetsu dying off, and it was like, yeah, okay, that's a lot. That's interesting, but in terms of emotional shocker, there's not really much to go on there, if you ask me. But I mean, I think at the end of the first day is when one of the major, you know, big points starts making his move, which is Obito himself, which of course we learn he's made his own version of the 6 paths of pain. Of course, he has his fresh new masks, fresh new Rinnegan eye, and all of these things, and it's like, okay, this is going somewhere. And naturally, by the second day, we have the introduction of the previous Kage, which was fun too, because these Kage were seemingly really broken, and of course, it did manage to give at least this part in the arc, or the arc in general. These early parts did give some moments, some decent screen time to other characters like Gaara, of course Shikamaru, Inashika Cho, of course Darui as well with the fight on the beach. But and I mean, that's appreciated, as I said, because especially since Shippuden kind of narrowed things down in terms of focus, that was really appreciated in the grand scheme of things, even though I thought it wasn't really the big selling point for the arc for me. But it was definitely cool to see, and especially with Gaara, you know, confronting his father again, that was definitely cool. The previous Kage are definitely, you know, their personalities are on show for a bit, at least. For example, the previous Mizukage, he was definitely personality. But for the most part, I think any emotional investment with these characters are obviously superficial because they're just introduced, and it's kind of like, oh shit, this guy seems pretty bad kind of vibe when it comes on to those Kage and everything. So yeah, but I mean that aside, of course, going into the war as one of the next big selling points was the identity of the masked man. Of course, and the eventual, reveal of Madara Uchiha, which actually increased the whole mystery of who the masked man was. And honestly, that's a whole kettle of fish. I'm jumping around here. I know, just bear with me. Bear with me. But yeah, man, like, oof. I remember when when Kabuto decided to bring out that final coffin and Madara stepped out. I remember it clear as day. I was like back home, and I jumped, jump out of a seat, completely jump out of a seat. I'm like, shit, Madara, who's the masked man? Of course, a lot of persons were already theorizing it was Obito at this point. But honestly, it was such a pleasure to see Madara take to the field. And the reason being, and everybody will agree with this, is the fact that Kishimoto had been building up Madara from essentially the end of part 1 until now. So to finally see him jump in action and be as, credible in combat as the stories built him up to be to this point, and the fact that between that combined with his personality and everything, trust me, at this point, Madara definitely sells and is one of the major selling points of the war, if you ask me. So yeah, but before that, our kind of backtracking a bit, the matter of Naruto and him actually coming into the war to actually basically take over. Now, I know the jumps in power is like a hotly debated topic when it comes on to the Fourth Great Ninja War, when it comes on to Naruto and Sasuke, but more so, I would say more so Naruto, because literally you could even say Naruto was fighting the war literally by himself at one point. if I really do say so myself. And like, I'm 50-50 on it, because honestly Naruto's worked his way up and he deserves the power of like Ninetales chakra mode. So I think I have less of a problem with it. It's kind of like a 60-40, let's put it like that. It's like, probably like 40% I can see where you're coming from. But I mean, I think since it's the end game at this point, considering that, all these characters, supporting characters that could have probably, been pushed more, since they've already been relegated as like background characters at this point, having Naruto come in and take the spotlight is I guess it's fair, I guess. But to even backtrack even further, during the transition between days 1 and 2 of the war, we definitely had that whole espionage, that whole white Zetsu being able to assume the chakra signature of everybody else. So it made the whole espionage thing like a very real thing in the war, which was appreciated when it comes on to war and tactics. That was pretty good. And of course, this built up for that moment with Sakura, who, we had Neji, we had basically white Zetsus going over all the camps and killing persons. And we had Sakura who actually managed to figure out and put the Fate Neji down, which was pretty good. We did also have one guy that confessed to Sakura, and of course she's not going to take it because Sasuke. So that was definitely another solid Sakura moment, so I'll give her that at least. But yeah, but and I know I'm kind of backtracking a lot here, but I know I'm all over the place, forgive me. But even the confrontation between, say, Naruto and Tsunade and the Raikage, that was a nice moment as well. Usually any moment when Naruto is really compared to the fourth Hokage is usually hype, so that was pretty damn cool as well. Even though, the Raikage was being the Raikage, was like, yo, I'm gonna kill Naruto. If you really want to go out there, you have to get past me, fam. And of course Tsunade believing in Naruto. But it all worked out in the grand scheme of things, since Naruto's and funny enough, I was gonna say it was kind of convenient for Naruto's QB chakra mode being able to actually sense negative emotions, but probably not convenient because it was actually established before Kishimoto introduced the whole White Zetsu being able to assume the chakra signature of others. So probably not conveniently. So that's the good part about it. So it all kind of works out for the best. But for me personally, they have some nice highlights, some nice moments, some nice little things here and there, up to the part when Madara was actually revealed, that I liked, that I loved. I definitely loved the whole confrontation between Gaara and his father. I love that fight between them and the Kage. I definitely love Inoshika Cho and them going up against Asuma. Generally speaking, I did love the characters getting, spotlight at this point, since they didn't really get much spotlight leading up to this point. But for me, subjectively speaking, at least, it was alright. It's going. King Bayo, Wagwan, welcome to the stream. So yeah, Fort Great Ninja War discussion. Back and forth. I'm all over the place. So as you can probably realize. But yeah, apart from some decent moments, I would say from the beginning of the war till about chapter 556. Yeah, that rating seems alright. For me, like a 6.5, yeah, seems alright. Like the initial section still now has some nice moments, but overall I don't think it resonates with me as much as it could have, due to the fact that most of the characters you'd want to be invested in, they didn't get any, like, more characters than not don't get the substantial build up to be invested in them. So it kind of comes off as this kind of superficial investments, if I could put it like that, in the characters and their fate during the war. So there's that. But to me, Madara brought the much needed tension to the war. If if I must say so myself, Naruto's ended up an arm shot, literally. So you see what you did there. But yeah, tell me if you guys agree with me. Like, the war was alright leading up to chapter 556 when Madara was revealed. But to me, as I said, I feel like Madara brought the much needed tension and like that change of pace that the war needed. I feel like Madara, if I were to compare this to Dragon Ball Super, Madara is what the Goku Black arc was to Dragon Ball Super, at least in vibe. And what I mean is that the whole vibe that Super really needed, that change in tension at the time, and the Goku Black arc really brought that. And I think that's what Madara really brought to the war, if I do say so myself. And naturally, when that became the case, it definitely narrowed down the war to, of course, Madara versus the 5 Kage, and eventually we did get Sasuke coming back into the war as well. So we did have Sasuke coming back into the war, which is another topic for tonight, naturally. And of course, the fight against Kabuto was definitely another focus. And naturally, Naruto and Killer Bee versus Obito, who would be later joined by Kakashi and Guy. So it definitely narrowed down the war. So honestly, since Shippuden kind of excelled well at just focusing on a few things, I guess in terms of structure, like structuring the war for this last portion here, well, this mid portion here like that, kind of worked to Shippuden's benefit, because that's what it was excelling and pushing forward. So narrowing it down to the 3 fights was good for me. Now, Sasuke. I said last live stream that Sasuke, to be honest, I always enjoyed when Sasuke came back and was like focused on the story. And for the first third of the war, it seemed like Sasuke was kind of mostly out of commission. It wasn't shown. I believe it was shown for the first time in chapter 554 at the end with his new Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. But yeah, and then we don't see him again until he tries to like leave the base and figures out that there's a war going on and all that jazz and blues. So there's that. Due to a brand change, yeah. Don't worry, I'm going to get into addressing the whole final section and transitioning to Boruto. Don't worry, I'm getting there. I'm building up to it. But respect, Jake, and welcome to the stream. Hope you had a great day, man. So yeah, but yeah, so having Madara coming, as I said, was the well-needed change in PS tension and investment in the war that I personally needed. So there's that. Now, of course, Naruto going up against Obito, right? Honestly, I love the whole fight between Naruto, Kakashi, Guy, and B and Obito because of Obito's ability, it kind of allowed or forced Kishimoto to at least implement some nice strategic set pieces in that fight, if I do say so myself, and I really enjoyed seeing them trying to figure out how to go around Kamui. Now, naturally, I believe this is chapter 571 when we're introduced to Biju mode or KCM2, TL Beast mode. And of course, the power-ups continue for Naruto. And as I said earlier, the power-ups are it's a highly debated topic, I would say, are a very 50-50 thing in terms of the fan base and how they feel about it. But honestly, Naruto leveling up to Biju mode really made it was pushing really the difference between Naruto and the supporting, well, what's left of the supporting cast even further, because we now have Naruto, even though he didn't master it at the time and had like a time limit on it, he was able to push back like 5 TLBs, so that was really wild. And we also had that comparison between him and, you know, Minato through Kakashi's eyes, which was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty hype. It was pretty hype seeing Naruto go up against TLBs. That was hype. Boruto plan, but like it's like the further we went through the fight, it was just fun to see. Like we had persons who already subscribed to the idea that this was Obito, but I, for the most part, didn't really know what to believe, because I was one of those persons who wholeheartedly subscribed to the idea that this man was actually Madara Uchiha. So to see him drop hints after hints after hints throughout the fight that, you know, like just kind of alluding to the fact that he was a beast, I'm like, oh shit, is he really? Is he not? Ah, shit. Yo, like, it was just kind of like suspense filled for me. I'm not gonna lie. But for the most part, this whole section with the fight against Obito, I enjoyed it. As I said, the set pieces in terms of planning and the tactics that go into planning around Kamui, loved it. Of course, throughout all of this, we still have the fight between, you know, Madara and the Kage going on, and eventually Sasuke meeting up back with Itachi and fighting against Kabuto. Now, the fight against the Kage, I really loved it. Because it really hammered home the payoff that we were building up towards, like the whole build up of Madara Uchiha, right? This fight against the Kage really paid off that build up, if you ask me, from Madara's abilities, his, you know, how capable he was, his personality, and the man was just hype. The man was just hype. And yes, he was hyping up Hashirama. And, you know, reading the fight, I was like questioning myself, yo, if Madara is this sick, how bad was Hashirama? It was kind of like Kishimoto saying like, yo, the Hashirama you saw fight against Hiruzen, that was not even 1% of his fault. Not even 1%. That's the vibe I was getting, and trust me, that kind of feels like that was literally it, because Madara was just hyping it up. But honestly, I really love the fight against Kage because it really paid off the build that we got to Madara. The fight against Kabuto. Listen, I have a friend who will not stop complaining about the fact that Itachi came up with literally came up with Izanami to basically beat Kabuto at the end of the day. Listen, I gotta say this. My friend is literally pissed off at Itachi. Like, he literally hates Itachi because he has a running joke that anytime Itachi is about to be defeated, he comes up with a new jutsu. Like, I gotta agree with him, because look at it. Yo, we get introduced to the section where, you know, they're trying to escape the frog stomach. When, you know, the whole Jiraiya Itachi confrontation there, and of course Jiraiya says, yo, there's no one's ever escaped this. Amaterasu escape, and that's the first time we're introduced to Amaterasu. Of course, Itachi's about to get struck by lightning. Yo, shit, can't escape this. Susanoo, first time we're seeing Susanoo. Shit, yo, we're fighting against Kabuto. Yo, it's like we can beat this guy. Izanami. Like, this man just comes up with jutsu. Like, right now, I feel like If Itachi was in Boruto, this man could beat Ishiki or Tsutsuki. Because if I would just probably come up with some new jutsu, if I'm being totally honest, so it was funny. But I did love the fight, and seeing Sasuke's like just working together with Itachi after all that he's been through, after learning the truth, that was really interesting to see the brothers working together, and Sasuke eventually finding out the full truth of the, well, at least almost the full truth of the night of the Uchiha clan massacre and everything leading up to it. So I did love the fight against Kabuto as well. Kabuto's arc was also interesting. It made sense with what Kishimoto was going for with his character about, he hasn't really sorted out who he wants to be in life or his own self-identity, and that's actually reflecting the fact that he took all these different cells, all these different DNAs into his body. So I like that as well. To be honest, if I'm being quite honest, these first 90 something chapters might be the stronger portion of the arc, if you ask me. So we eventually do finish up with the whole fight against Kabuto. We do eventually get back into the fight with Obito and everything, and everything leads up to the reveal of Obito. And I think it's at this point the arc kind of starts to go downhill, if you ask me. So it was just alright in the beginning, I would say, with some nice moments here and there. It got the much needed facelift with the introduction of Madara, introducing tension and suspense, and enhancing the mystery of the masked man. But I think the arc kind of took a nosedive in ratings for me after that, and I'll explain why. And it's not just because it was Obito, because it was really with the execution of Obito, really. So we eventually get a nice choreograph, nice tactics in overcoming Obito's Kamui, and we reveal that it's actually Obito. And we had that one chapter where there was no dialogue until the end. That was a very weird chapter. I'm still kind of 50-50 on, the fact that as the chapter starts, obviously it's revealed it's Obito through the flashbacks. But here's my problem with it being Obito, based on how Kishimoto executed the story and why the arc actually took a nosedive for me. It made the story predictable. And you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Yo, Akil, Wagwan. Welcome, man. So yeah, so we're basically roughly at chapter 600 in terms of talking about the arc now, but better late than never. So I'm basically talking about Obito now, and basically the arc taking a nosedive in quality. Well, yeah, the fillers definitely killed the war arc in the anime, but I'm talking strictly about the canon material, but I will acknowledge that fact. I'm not saying it was bad, but I'm not saying it was like a 5 out of 10, but it wasn't like I wouldn't put it like at an 8 out of 10 either. So yeah, but as I was saying, what made the arc kind of start to take a nosedive for me was the reveal of Obito, and the reason for this is because it made the story predictable. And what I mean by that is this, right? You literally, the last big major arc that was unanimously enjoyed by most persons who read or watch Naruto was the Pain arc, right? And in that arc, you had Naruto essentially convince his co-pupil, a former pupil of Jiraiya, Nagato himself, to essentially kill himself, give or take. Cool. So the fabled Naruto taught no jutsu basically came through. Now, what do you think, critically put yourself with the knowledge you know how back in the time of when chapter 600 drops. What happens when you put a character who, in theme, in spirit, has been marketed to be the Uchiha Naruto, essentially, the Uchiha version of Naruto? What do you think is going to happen? Would you not say it was predictable that he was going to be talked out of shit going at some point, as King of Light would have said back then, the chapter of prophecy, that some emotional connection, some thought no jutsu would have caused Obito to falter. And I think that's the problem That's one of the major problems I had. It kind of made it predictable. It's kind of like we started a countdown to that. And I don't mean predictable in a good way. Because you can have predictable stuff and it can be good. But I don't think this was predictable. So to me, it kind of made it like, shit. He's going to get talked out of this. Or it's going to affect him on some level at some point. Yo, Hidden Leaf. The man, the myth, the legends. What's up, man? Welcome. So, yeah, it made it predictable. No. I would say it didn't have to be so bad, but I think the major problem right after that is that the Obito flashback was too short. If I'm being quite honest, tell me if you guys agree with me. Like, I honestly feel the Obito flashback was too short. Like, I think that flashback needed like 4 or 5 more chapters. Let me know, you guys. Let me even see what you guys are saying in the chat, because I feel the Obito flashback was way too short. Donald Jutsu was current predictable but not necessarily bad writing. New Jutsu late battle are weird because Naruto probably itself and pre-planned to win. I understand Black Clover having that since Grimmer connects to your survival and mana, just not Naruto or bullshit. Yeah, you guys are saying. King Bar, you say it's predictable but not necessarily bad writing. No, I wouldn't want to say I don't want to make it black and white to say, yo, it was necessarily bad writing, but it's kind of like, I don't even want to say boring either. I don't even know how to describe it, but I don't know. There was just the predictability. I guess it's more subjective then. The predictability for me, I don't know. It just kind of kills something about the story for me going forward from chapter 600 onwards. But anyway, the Obito flashback was, I'm not saying it was bad, I'm just saying it could have been longer. You know, like stuff that we learned about, basically, because everybody makes fun of Obito for starting the war because of Rin, right? Obviously, that's obviously a big part of it. And, you know, if we're putting all fun and joke aside, yeah, that's a big part of it, but that's not the only reason. But at the same time, I feel there could have been more build up, more shown and not just told to us. So that when Obito eventually does get defeated, it kind of rings home a bit more, or it feels like, you know, we can be more empathetic towards him a bit more. Because, for example, you remember when Obito was actually defeated, we didn't learn Obito was an orphan until he was defeated. And it's like, okay, this is kind of just tacked on. Yeah, I think lackluster would definitely be the word, Hidden Leaf. Definitely. But yeah. Alright, so the thing is, yeah, we joke about Obito not starting the war because of Rin, but most times when Obito talks, he mentions something about Rin. So the thing is, and especially when he learns that, you know, he confesses to Kakashi that he knew about the whole, you know, hidden Mist Village experiments on Rin and that it was an accident and everything. I just feel like more of Obito's time in the world should have been shown for the audience to get more of an empathetic connection with him. I don't know. And I think the fact that Kishimoto reveals that he was an orphan kinda adds some credit to what I'm saying here. Because by that point, it's like, yeah, you know he likes Rin and everything, but to this point, apart from the whole catastrophe of, you know, losing part half his body and not being able to reconcile with Kakashi and confessing to Rin, at this point we don't know if Obito has a bad life. So it's kind of like when he's defeated and we do learn, it's kind of like it kind of feels tacked on or kind of like an afterthought. So wait, Sula. Yeah, you're a bit late, but it's all right. I mean, we still have probably like an hour left. So yeah, but guys, share out the stream for me. I'd appreciate it because I actually want to make these I guess I'm calling it Uchiha corner segments a bit more, you know, have a bit more persons for it, because it doesn't make sense I'm doing these polls for you guys to vote every week and not a decent amount of persons that are actually showing up. So yeah, but respect, we are doing better than last week, so there's that. But welcome, Sula. One change I would make to the war would be if Kabuto revived Uchiha and Senju Clan members instead of other people. That'd be interesting. I would have to think about the logistics of that though. People don't even joke about it. People like the King like actually think he did everything for a girl. There are people who were revived. It makes sense because of the Infinite Tsukuyomi, yada yada. Alright, cool. Yeah, like yeah, King of Light, I'm not gonna lie, he does paint it in black and white, but I can see where it's coming from. It's kinda like what that show don't tell kind of thing. It's like, yeah, Obito kinda he does say he doesn't start the warp just because of Rin. But like what's shown to us by Kishimoto is like almost every other thing, it's kind of like he's mentioning Rin. So I think I can understand where King of Lightning is coming from. But the thing is, what I'm saying is to kind of fight against that, I think Kishimoto should have shown us more during the flashback with Obito. There should have been more chapters, is what I'm saying. So yeah. But anyway, so the flashback is alright, but the thing is it should have been longer. Fine. Cool. After that, we move into the death of Neji. I think when it comes down to death, for a character like Neji, who was such a big character in part 1, I have never felt less indifferent towards a major character's death. Major character's death. Honestly. And as I said, it just stems from the fact that Shippuden decide to narrow down things to like a certain set of plot elements essentially, and the side characters who got major developments or major push in part 1 didn't get that same push in part 2, and of course as a result of this, for me, Neji's death was like whatever, or at least the way it was executed or shown, it feels like Neji could have actually came out of that alive. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, bust a rotation or something, you know? I don't know. Call me crazy, I don't know. Maybe I'm the one that's expecting too much. And of course, a lot of persons feel like he was just killed off for the sake of, you know, Naruto and Hinata. So I don't know, fam. I don't know. You see me? Honestly. I don't mind Obito. I don't hate Obito like a lot of people, Sula, but I just feel like Kishi could have showed us more. Is what I'm saying. That's the bottom line with me personally at the end of the day. Don't worry, I'll soon get to Kaguya, people. Don't worry. I'm just kind of going up the line. So anyway, so we had the death of Neji. We had the whole back and forth between, you know, Obito trying to reverse Talk no Jutsu Naruto, which I actually liked. Especially since they're basically saying this is literally evil Naruto. So I did like that portion. I did like Hinata finally supporting Naruto, which is something I feel like that moments between Naruto and Hinata should have happened from earlier, if I'm being quite honest, but it is what it is. I did like that, and here's the thing now. The same vibe from earlier continues with Naruto basically carrying this war. By basically, you know, after he gets back his Steel Beast mode and basically powers up the entire Shinobi Alliance. And that whole main character syndrome pushing further and further ahead of the side characters continues. But considering this was supposed to be the final arc in the grand scheme of things, I guess it was a 50-50 thing. So yeah. See what's in the chat. Yeah, Shippuden again shit. Rest in peace, Neji, which didn't bother me since Sasuke was all I cared about, which is fine. I don't mind if you just care about Naruto and Sasuke, but I'm just saying the story could have been better than what it was, is what I'm saying. Hyuga strongest in the leaf. Yo, Hyuga strongest in the leaf. You see that? I feel like in theory, yeah, that is true, but after seeing the Uchiha and all that shit they could do, I don't know, man. Feels different. It feels like that's just on paper. Weird Sid. Yeah. I see him to me Sid because he said we know that you're the biggest Obito fan ever. But we did have the back and forth when we were on campus between Madara and Obito. But you know something, I really hate Obito. I just wanted Kishi to show more with the man. Honestly. It was a showing trope invention Naruto with his sister. He died taking bullet, but that was more than The most side character did. Yeah, that is true, Jake. That is true. You and Hinata Naruto. Yeah, it is true. Honestly, the moments between Naruto and Hinata, there should have been more. It was just so odd thinking back on it now after Hinata confessed and then Kishi just doesn't do anything. anything after that. That was like so weird in the grand scheme of things. And I know he says he's not a big romance writer, but honestly, I feel like it would be common sense to just at least have Hinata and Naruto to have at least a moment or something after that. You know what I mean? Start building it so it doesn't seem as jarring. Because honestly, I still need to talk about, because I'm going to talk about up to chapter 700, and since the last Naruto the movie is literally chapters, could be considered chapter 699.5, I will touch on it a bit. But anyway, yeah. So this is about chapter 610, 612, thereabouts. And I think from there we do eventually get Naruto power up the Ninja Alliance. They do the whole bird thing to, you know, honor Neji. They separate Madara and Obito from the Ten Tails. And if I'm remembering correctly, the Ten Tails does do the whole, you know, super weather forecast technique. Listen, I don't remember the name of the technique. Just bear with me. Don't pressure me. And of course, Obito takes Kakashi to, you know, the Kamui dimension to enact his plan to have Kakashi stab him, remove the seal that Madara placed on his heart. Yo, honestly, that fight between Kakashi and Obito, yo, it was good in the manga, but I can definitely say in the anime, yo, everybody can say that looks sick in the anime. In terms of the choreography, yo, that was sweet, fam. Sweet. So there's that. And naturally, we do transition into, you know, Sasuke going back to the Leaf, you know, with Orochimaru in tow and, you know, his team. Reviving the Kage, talking to them. We get the Madara flashback, and honestly, I did love this portion of the story. Yeah, Madara's deck was lackluster, I'm not gonna lie. Really lackluster. But I'm getting there. The portion with Sasuke learning the truths, I did love it. I love the Madara flashback. Like, Madara was like my favorite character throughout the entire arc. Sid, you know this already. And getting the Madara flashback and the time we got with it, it was really good. But looking back at it now, I felt like it could have been like just 2 chapters longer, if I'm being honest, for that transition for when, you know, Madara, you know, read the stone tablet and thing. But for the most part, I really enjoyed the fleshing out and flashback because, as I said, Madara is one of the big positives in the war, for me at least, because he's been built up to this point. Like, from part 1, he's shown to be credible as a threat. He's brought the tension. He's brought the personality. He's brought the you know, the ridiculous power. And of course, this is like icing on the cake to kind of flesh out and see where it's coming from, to empathize with him as the villain. So it kind of felt like we're building up to have Madara as the final villain, if I'm not going to be honest. If I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I'm not going to lie there. So I really enjoyed that. The flashback, seeing where he's coming from with Hashirama, I think it's something anybody can empathize with when it comes on to seeing where Madara was coming from. But I feel like in terms of that transition to, you know, him just saying, yo, I'm just gonna screw all this and destroy the village and everything and go towards the Infinite Tsukuyomi plan, I think an extra chapter or 2 would have been needed as well. So yeah. I love that. And just to have Sasuke, you know, kind of analyze the history of, you know, the modern shinobi world, from where Madara and Hashirama are coming from, the founding fathers of literally the current shinobi system. I was actually loving where they were going with Sasuke and his character, because as Itachi would have said to Naruto way back in chapter 300 and something, or when it was revealed that he was saying like Sasuke is like a blank canvas and anybody can paint him. So it was like that journey for Sasuke to start making decisions for his own and not being manipulated by anyone. So I did like that aspect as well. Of course, the whole, you know, I'm going to protect Konoha and everything was it was interesting as well. Let me see what you guys are saying. I'm surprised that Hinata didn't move on. Naruto's got to be the slowest guy I know. I mean, I know most guys are oblivious to these signs, but yeah, listen. This whole thing with Naruto and Hinata could have been executed way better, Sula, if I'm being honest. The four Kages were cool. Yeah, the four Kages were awesome. Minata was my favorite. Yeah, Minata was cool. It was hype. I'm not lying, I'm getting to that part. But it was cool. The moments in between the four Kage were actually funny to me. What I want to know is what the hell are Madara's eye techniques. Listen. I would want to know too, because obviously the limbo is more his Renegan stuff, but I'm surprised Kishi hasn't revealed that in like a data book or something. And you know, Manohara, that was actually satisfactory to me. I found it refreshing since it was something new in terms of how we view final villains. It was not predictable like most other shonen series. Kage certainly caught us by surprise. Honestly, I wasn't satisfied with it. I feel like it could have been executed, that in between parts could have been executed better. And they could have still set things in motion to have the whole Boruto series without sacrificing Madara as the final villain. But I'll get there. I know Sasuke is stronger now, but man, Madara's drip was unparalleled to this day. And Toblerone was goated. Yo, a serious thing though. Madara had such... Like, the man was so bossy. Literally so bossy during the war. Like, but just instantly rate the man. Like... Like, when the man was like, do you want me to let the wood clones use Susanoo? I'm like, yo, bro. Like, I was just literally done there. Like, but this couldn't matter. Dog. Like, the man is just too bossy. if I'm being honest. It was so bossy to the point where, like, during the sections between chapter 600 and 655, when the man was literally just doing nothing, I'm like, dog, is this man really serious? You guys remember when Hashirama came with the wood clone and was like, yo, Madara, I am ready, fam. Madara's like, yo, dog, I see what you're saying, but, you know, I not really feel this. When you're not finished with this whole ninja war, me fight, yo, like, when you're one-on-one, like, yeah, it was ridiculous, if you ask me. What felt weird was with the power skill being island level at times, the serious state, village level in the world building. Yeah, as I said, the whole jumping power skill is very... it's very controversial because Naruto at the start of the arc versus Naruto at the end of the arc, jeez and peace, it's ridiculous. No, I don't mind Naruto getting power-ups because, as I said, I feel like when you're at a disadvantage in life, generally speaking, real world thing, no, and you just try to make the best of what life has handed you, sometimes the factors that aren't inside your control, that might be outside your control, but are still positive. Usually if you work hard, you can align yourself with whenever those positive influences outside your control kind of intersect. So you see me, position yourself for, you know, positivity. So from that perspective, I don't really mind Naruto in the power-ups. But yeah, it was kind of ridiculous in terms of the jumps in power, if I'm being honest. So yeah, there's that. I'm sorry, wouldn't mind if Kishi ended him with the kills gives. Yo, I'm telling you, Madara was a man. But anyway, let me continue because I'm about what, chapter 6 in the 620s. So Sasuke decides like, yo fam, this Avenger shit, I'm just gonna protect Konoha and think honor Itachi's sacrifice. But of course, there's something there about him that Kishi's holding off on until later on. Now, between chapter 600 and the Madara flashback, as I said, it was starting to dip for me. It went back up during the Madara flashback and the Sasuke moments, and it definitely went back up again in terms of the quality. Yeah, I was so hyped when the Kage came to the field, fam. Yo, and then when Minato bust Steel Beast mode as well. Yo, hype. Not gonna lie, the Kages made it hype for me. Now, of course, with the Kages coming in, it was something else. And them kind of, you know, changing the tides of the war, motivating the troops and everything. And, of course, seeing Naruto and Sasuke working together. Sasuke, the famous, yo, I'm going to be Hokage, fam. I'm like, what? Yo, I have a virgin called named Mark, and he was like, he wasn't the biggest Sasuke fan. So when Sasuke said that, he was like, oh shit, dog. But, yo, that was funny. And finally getting to see the Konoha 9 at this point, right? Going in, working together in their teams and doing their thing, like that was so refreshing to see, because these are characters who haven't had any, apart from like Inoshika, these are characters who haven't had any decent spotlights for the majority of part 2. So I'm like, yes, finally. But then it was kind of short-lived, because Team 7 kind of took the spotlight again. The summoning jutsu. And Sakura, I finally caught up to them. Jeez, a piece. Sakura, I'm sorry. Probably if Kishimoto had done some more development towards your combat abilities outside of the Byakugo seal, something more. But it was still a big Sakura moment. Give her some props. So yeah. Lady Tenten, Sasuke, trust me, the man was just wilding, honestly. But what I liked about it is that even though he said that, Kishimoto did quickly show us that there was more nuance. There's more to it than just becoming Hokage. It was heavily hinted throughout it. There was obviously more than that. So, especially that scene when him and Naruto did the whole combination jutsu, between Blaze Release and the Rasen Shuriken, and he wanted the 10 tails to burn, and of course, Naruto wanted to save the tail beast. There were little indications like that. So there was obviously more to it than that. So it was just a matter of when Kishimoto was going to reveal it. So it wasn't just black and white like that, and I like that. So yeah. But of course, naturally, after that, we had Obito finally coming back, and Madara seemingly doing, quote unquote, controlling Black Zetsu to allow Obito to do the whole Rinne rebirth. But, of course, Naruto reveals that's not this hand signs, and of course, he became the 10 Tails Jin Churiki. So, the fight between the Kages, this is the thing. Even though the Konoha 9 had some moments, it kind of quickly went back to the Kages and Naruto and Sasuke, because those were like the strongest persons on the field that could go up against 10 Tails Obito. And of course, Kishimoto had to nerf Obito, because having him be the 10 Tails and be the MCU's come away would have been broken, apparently. So, it would have been difficult writing around that. So, yeah. But anyway, so we have the fight against Obito and thing. I did love the scene when, it was pulling Obito apart and he had to pull himself back together, using the memory of, his old team. So that was interesting. I did like the fight between the Kages and them doing their thing, even though I feel like I kind of wanted to see more from Tobirama. Tobirama and Hashirama and Hiruzen for some reason. But given that, Obito with the whole truth-seeking orbs could negate ninjutsu and everything, I guess that made it a bit difficult. So, yeah. And it was around this time opening 16 was going on, right? In the anime, when it reached to this part. I love that opening. Kanebun. Beautiful. So the fight's going on. Eventually, I love the choreography. I love how things are going. But of course, eventually, Obito gains full control of the 10 Tails. And honestly, listen, Obito should not have lost this fight. I am being quite honest. And it kind of ties in back to what I was saying before, when Naruto was going to somehow talk him out of it, right? Or there's something that was going to affect him. Because honestly, Naruto, Sasuke, Konoha 9, the fight's going good, roughly speaking. I love the tactics. You see, especially that scene where Naruto came up with basically the idea to teleport everyone outside the barrier as well. That was good. That was good. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Yo, Sid, I was joking about that earlier with everybody else that, say, Itachi would have been able to somehow stop the man. She's a piece. But yeah, it would have been broken. The openings, funny enough, no, as you mentioned the openings, Anthony, from like opening 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, those openings were, it's like opening after opening was straight fire, those openings were great. But 16 was probably like my personal favorite though. Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, like the fights going on. I for the most part, I do love the choreography between Obito and Obito and the Kage and Naruto and Sasuke. Of course, we had Madara versus Hashirama in the background. Apparently, Madara having some secret plan to take down Obito. I would have loved. Honestly, I don't think Kishimoto would should have let Naruto and Sasuke win. I would have loved to see. I would have loved to have seen a Ten Tails Obito versus a siege, well, a pseudo siege mode, Rinnegan Madara. Honestly, that would have been interesting. I think I would have preferred that, honestly, because I don't think Naruto and Sasuke had any business beating Obito. And yes, I know it wasn't like straight up beat Obito. It was just kind of because of how chakra works and Naruto basically convincing him the taught no jutsu of prophecy. He wavered for a moment, just enough for them to basically, injure him and start pulling out his chakra. Yeah, so I know it wasn't a straight up defeat of the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, but for the most part, Naruto got to him. I think I can solidly say Naruto got to him. And that it was my problem because I was expecting it. And it was like, jeez. It's like one of those moments where, yeah, you have a super strong character and they have no business beating him, really. I think the better move would have been to have Madara fight him. No, I'm not saying Obito wasn't stronger than Madara, no. Don't get me wrong. But Madara with Siege mode, if you're gonna tell me that Naruto, well, this is not six parts, but this is TLB's Siege mode. TLB's combined with Siege mode, and Sasuke, who's putting not even a perfect Susanoo, but putting his Susanoo on that, and has what, Jugo support there? No, yeah, he has Jugo support there. I think Amadara with Sage mode could have been able to do kind of pull up. Should be on the same tier of power there. At least make Madara injure Obito. Do the CM Trina logic. Make Madara injure Obito just long enough for the Shinobi Alliance to just capitalize and pull out the chakra. Don't make it be a Naruto convincing him, yada 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 yada. But I guess since they wanted to somewhat redeem Obito, then I don't know. It was kind of 50-50 for me, honestly. Honestly. And then, of course, Obito is defeated, seemingly. Seemingly defeated. Madara's plan seemingly doesn't work. And then, of course, at this point, we have... Alright, reconnection successful. Ooh. I guess everybody would have refreshed. Sorry about that, guys. The net just dropped for some god almighty reason. I'm gonna see if I wait until persons come back in. Refresh. Do. Let's see. Think I'm back online. Yeah. Alright, so one person's back. Sorry about that. Net seemingly dropped for a bit. Let me see. Hopefully I wait until everybody else comes back in. Sorry about that. Alright, so who's back in the stream? Sid, Anthony, who's back? Well, 4 persons, no. Sula. Alright, I guess I'll continue with this until everybody else comes back in, if they come back in. So yeah, so Obito is defeated, Madara is revived, and Madara starts to go on a winning streak. Literally, literal win-in streak. Like, if that wasn't a winning streak, I don't know what is. If I'm being quite honest, because this man gets revived. He's been held on by Hashirama's. He's been held on by Hashirama's, deity gates. This man revives, gets even more powerful than when he was reanimated, breaks out, steals Hashirama's Sage mode. Apparently, he's good at absorbing chakra, and Madara makes light work of actually controlling natural energy. Who would have thought? Then this man goes on to fight blind against Sasuke, Tobirama. He eventually gets back his one eye. He fights against the Teal Beast. This man is pulling out new moves, Limbo, beating the Teal Beast, and I think this is one of the most interesting parts of the war when seemingly Naruto and Sasuke are killed. I'm like, yo, where is this story going? You see me? Because Naruto loses Kurama and Sasuke becomes shish kebab essentially. So, you see me? But what I did like about it is, Madara's whole duality, are basically his speech about Hashirama and how Hashirama views the world and the whole duality of it, and him basically repeating Hashirama's words from his final battle with him in the valley at the end. And like at this point, or even before this point, Madara was really convinced and believed in what he was actually going for. So there's definitely that. And of course, this was the start of the time when persons would be complaining about, why would Obito die? But there was reasons at each turn, because at this point, eventually we have Madara summoning the Ghetto monster outside of Obito, but Black Zetsu is still there to keep him alive, and of course, Madara eventually becomes a 10-tailed Jinchuriki. Now, after what Anthony was saying here in the chat, yes, I was disappointed with Madara Uchiha as a 10-tailed Jinchuriki. And I think the problem with this last section of the war is the pacing, if I do say so myself. I think it's two reasons. The eventual introduction of Kaguya, despite Kishimoto claiming that he didn't know of a way to actually beat Madara, I don't buy that. Anyway, the introduction of Kaguya and seemingly the need to actually end this series on chapter 700, the symbolic meaning behind it. I feel like I want to do a discussion video on it. Like, if writers are shooting themselves in the foot for the sake of ending their manga on a chapter number that's symbolic to the story. So yeah, that's another topic of discussion. But I feel like this section of the story starts to lack in terms of like fight choreography, and it shows, because as Anthony says, Madara's 10-tailed Jinchuriki was honestly disappointing. Honestly. And as much as we do eventually get into the the reveal of the 8 gates, which was epic as shit, like, I don't know, it was just really disappointing from Madara's end as a 10-tailed Jinchuriki, if I'm being honest. I was more impressed, or at least I felt more content with how Obito was using it. But with Madara, I mean, I don't know. I call it the Kishimoto syndrome. When certain characters know 1,000 jutsu, but they only use 5 on a good day. You see me? So, yeah, for the most part, I was kind of disappointed with Madara there. Of course, naturally, eventually, we do have the introduction of the whole 6-path powers, the Hagoromo thing, and again, bringing over from the last live stream, I didn't really have a problem with Naruto and Sasuke getting the power-ups. And in terms of Sasuke, him being the reincarnation of Indra is whatever. But making Naruto the reincarnation of Ashura is like, retroactively or in retrospect, it does explain why Naruto felt the need to always be running down Sasuke, I suppose. But I don't know. It's 50-50, because to me, as I was saying last live stream, it felt like it was contradicting the themes that were set up or built up from part 1, and to have Naruto be the child of prophecy, well, the Child of Prophecy combined with the reincarnation of Ashura, it makes you look at the Neji fight in a whole new light in terms of the whole destiny thing and everything. I'm not being black and white and saying it completely ruined things, because of course Neji's whole thing was you can't change destiny, and obviously Naruto managed to change his destiny between him and Sasuke. But it just kind of shows you like this man was, in a sense, you can't take away the work Naruto put in, but in the grand scheme of things, it kind of feels like he was destined for greatness, is what I'm saying. And honestly, if we were really going with the whole hard work theme, even though he's not the main character, characters like Lee would have gotten a bigger spotlight, I feel. And it rings home when, I think it rings home when even to this day, persons are still asking, when is Rock Lee going to get a decent fight? The only fight Rock Lee has in, the only win Rock Lee has in Shippuden is against himself. Isn't that sad? To be honest. So I'm just saying, I feel like that could have been dressed up a bit more. You know what I mean? Probably just make it that, you know, Hagoromo says, you remind me of my son. You kind of have the same traits, but straight up making this man the reincarnation, I don't know. It kind of kills something about the story. If it's not a 100% problem, it does kill or affect something about the story to me. But it is whatever. Anyway, so Guy eventually fails to kill Madara because, of course, Ten Tails Jinchuriki, Hashirama cells, the cure to everything in the Naruto world. I'm surprised Itachi doesn't have Hashirama cells, if I'm being honest. And of course, Madara regenerates, declares Guy the best taijutsu user ever. But we have the Six Paths brothers coming in, essentially, their new power-ups. Of course, Naruto has, you know, half a Kurama and bits of the other 8-tailed beasts and Six Paths, you know, Sage Mode. And of course, Sasuke now has his Rinne Sharingan and just an augmented boost from receiving, you know, half of Hagoromo's chakra. So these guys are literally now god tier. Everybody else, it doesn't matter. These guys are now god tier. And I think for the most part, I did like the little skirmish that we had between them and Madara. But again, I feel like the disappointment in Madara continues. I mean, we did get some cool action pieces leading up to the Infinite Tsukuyomi, which was like, oh shit, this man really cast it. And obviously we figured out that, you know, Sasuke's can block out the light of the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and of course it leaves just Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Obito, and Black Zetsu and Madara as the only persons left. Fine. Now, this, with all the disappointment we had with Madara from he became the 10th Jinchuriki until now, which I think is about what, 10 chapters? 15 chapters, give or take? Now would have been the time this would have been what, chapter what? 678, 679? Now would have been the time, like, using the remaining, that next volume from like chapter 680 to 690, we could have had the fight against Madara. We could have had Madara's 10 Tails going all out, like he said, pulling out all stops. You can imagine like an all-out fight between Six Paths Naruto and Rinne Sharingan Sasuke versus 10 Tails Madara going all out, and then that animated, and you would have gotten extended fight scenes. That would have been crazy. Yes, me. But we didn't get that. We got Kaguya. We got Black Zetsu, who comes in and so I'm the will of Kaguya. I'm like, oh shit. And I think even though persons were upset about it initially, it's like, it's kind of like you're upset initially, then Kaguya seems like she might have potential, but then it's like, yeah, this wasn't worth sacrificing Madara. If I'm being quite honest, like, it is the biggest stain on the Fourth Great Ninja War, Kaguya Otsutsuki. And especially since, I correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, guys, let me know. But I do, despite the plan to have the Naruto, what was it termed again? The Naruto project? I don't think Kishimoto planned to do Boruto. So to have Kaguya come in and just kind of shit on the entire build-up of Madara from part 1 till now, it felt like a slap in the face, honestly. Honestly. So, and any disappointment that could have been rectified by having Madara going all out from a fight choreography standpoint against Naruto and Sasuke, we never get to see that because Kaguya comes in and yeah, I mean the whole idea of aliens and mother truck. I think Kaguya is mentioned one time in the arc, and this is in about chapter 646, 647, when Madara is fighting against Hashirama, and he's kind of mentioning her. But apart from that, there's nothing. And then we have Kaguya come in and just sweep Madara aside. It's honestly the dumbest thing in the arc. Honestly, with all the problems I've had in the arc with the start, with the predictability, with Obito, the fact that Naruto and Sasuke managed to, essentially beat Obito, the side characters, lack of emotional investment in the side characters. This is the biggest problem. Kaguya. You see, because the intent wasn't to necessarily do a Boruto series, I think it would have lessened the blow if that was always the intent from Kishimoto, which it wasn't, obviously. But I think reworking the arc, it would have been better to spend those 9 to 10 chapters having that all-out brawl against Madara. And despite what Kishimoto says about not finding a way to beat Madara, if you have Madara being stupid enough to not realize that Black Zetsu is not actually his will, Kishimoto probably could have set up a situation where Naruto and Sasuke managed to pull off the 6-part Chibaku Tensei on Madara and extract the tail beast. That's just the way I see it. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Am I wrong? Am I talking foolishness? Tell me. Let me know. Because I want to know. It was literally the dumbest thing yet. Honestly. And yeah, Kaguya was powerful, but she didn't carry the charisma, the build-up of Madara, the strategic. It was literally Black Zetsu telling her everything. And like, I know one of the things when it comes down to Otsutsuki clan getting emotionally invested in them, I'm starting to feel like that's not the intent. But at this point in the story, it's like I would have rathered Madara after the 6-part Shibaku Tensei, say we spend the volume fighting him, and by the end we get Black Zetsu eventually revealing to him that you were actually being used. And then Madara probably using the last as his strength probably eliminates Black Zetsu or something. And then we eventually get that scene between Hashirama and Madara. So, I don't know. I could be wrong, I could be talking nonsense, but Kaguya is definitely the worst part of the arc. Yes, it did set up things for Boruto, but Boruto was never the intention on Kishimoto's part, if you ask me. So yeah. And it would have set the stage better for me better for us, I feel, in terms of preparing for the incoming threat of the Otsutsuki clan and why Kaguya was building an army. Probably Kishimoto could have put a set piece in place for how Kaguya could have gotten revived either way, but more so in the Boruto series. That would have been, I think, having Kaguya in the Boruto series would have been better if I do say so myself. But that's just me. But anyway, so we do come down to the fight between Naruto and Sasuke, and I think strictly from the manga perspective, a lot of persons have been waiting for this fight since the end of the first fight in part 1, at the end of in the Valley of the End, right? I think persons were enjoyed the fight more between Naruto and Sasuke in the Valley of the End, well, part 1 versus this more, because manga wise, it's like at this point in the start of the fight, we're so far gone from what made Naruto in terms of the charm, the fights being grounded to these super powered chakra mechs that is like like it was hype, but not as hype as I think persons would have felt during the initial fight between Naruto and Sasuke. Hence why persons really loved when they were actually beating the shit out of each other. Much more. I think that's a favorite segment of the fight for persons. But I think one of the biggest thing going into the fight as well was definitely the reasoning between Naruto and Sasuke in terms of how to handle the ninja world going forward. Um, Naruto's way was the typical shonen thing in terms of cooperation and trust and all that thing. I definitely saw where Sasuke was coming from with his reasoning as well, but I mean, making him the center of heat. I mean, both of their plans had holes in them, honestly. But as the story must go on, and of course Naruto's way rings home through cooperation and breaking the cycle of hatred between the brothers, naturally. Um, but despite any problems I had with the reasoning, like the logic each of them are bringing to the table, by the end of the fight, and seeing that they're gonna bring Sasuke back, despite the problems with Shippuden, there was a feeling of relief for me. Like, shit's like finally brought Sasuke back. I remember like during those weeks when we were hearing, I was on campus, UE, and first it was revealed there was only 5 weeks left before Naruto ended. The feels, man. Yo, the feels. I remember when the final chapters were dropping, and I learned that we were getting 2 chapters at once, and I believe the anime had reached, I think the anime was in like at episode 380 something at that point. Yeah, about that. Give or take, yeah. Probably in the 400s, maybe. But yo, I remember just chilling with my friends. I remember the final 2 chapters dropped, and I said, "Yo, guys, let's not read it. Let's go to class, come back, set up in the common area, set up the TV, HDMI plug in, watch the episode, and then read the chapters." And it was it's a very memorable experience for me. Like back from university, honestly, like reading the final chapters, and just seeing Team 7 reunite in chapter 699, and move on to Sasuke being pardoned and leaving the village. And there was just something like I can't put into words. There's something very visceral, very just emotional about that last scene in chapter 699 where Naruto gives back Sasuke the headband. It's like, Jano, the man really kept it. And of course, by chapter 700, naturally the time skip, the 10-15 year time skip to see the pairings, the kids, and the One Piece reference, because I didn't miss that. And just Naruto ending and the fact that he achieved his dream. On just a visceral level, taking all logic and criticism out of it, it really touched me. I like the ending. But being objective about it, in terms of the pairings, as Kishan was saying, it wasn't the best with romance. So the whole build up to see the pairings some pairings were obvious, but some pairings could have used work in terms of the build up, especially as I said, Naruto and Hinata, because especially with chapter 699.5 or the last Naruto the movie, honestly, the romance aspect could have been better, if you ask me. Like, it's kind of just jarring for Naruto to jump onto the Hinata love train, and it's only because of the genjutsu in that movie that he fell under, which was it was ridiculous. You can imagine if Naruto didn't fall into that genjutsu. So I'm just saying, in a nutshell, the romance or the whole dynamic between Naruto and Hinata could have used more work. Definitely. No arguments on that. Dang it. So yeah, but all in all, even though I have worst Naruto arc, obviously there's a question sign there. Would you guys say it's the worst arc in this series? Granted, obviously having worse next to something usually indicates some bad negative meaning, but literally the arc could be a 6.5, like probably the lowest rated arc, isn't it? Come on, guys, let me know in the chat. What would you rate this arc? And would you say it's the worst arc, or if it makes it sound better, would you say it's the lowest rated arc? Cause honestly, the arc isn't bad, but I I don't think I can comfortably put it above, say, the Land of Waves or the Chunin exams or the Tsunade retrieval or the Sasuke retrieval or I don't know. I don't think I could put it above arcs like that. Um is there any arc you'd put the Fort Great Ninja War over? I definitely wouldn't put it above the Pain arc. um the Kazakage retrieval arc is definitely good too. I definitely love the arc with Hidan and Kakuzu for the sake of, Shikamaru and thing and what it meant for those characters and just growing up for the characters in general. But I don't know. The more I think about it, I could probably put the Fort Great Ninja War as the lowest rated arc. It could be me going crazy, but let me know, guys. Let me know. Hold on, let me refresh this. Hold on, 47. Hold on. So I'm not seeing any replies. Just refreshing the page. Oh, sorry. Alright, guys, I wasn't seeing the replies. Shout out to Hidden Leaf. I didn't realize because I was thinking nobody just wasn't replying, so I just refreshed my stream page here. So I'm seeing replies now. Let me just get to what everybody's saying. What I missed. Person. I'll be surprised if Boruto was the blue-eyed child of prophecy that I was talking about. If Boruto really is the blue-eyed child of prophecy, it would retroactively make the Fort Great Ninja War a bit better. Because I feel like part of prophecy wasn't completed. Haguramo, well, the Great Tour stage was saying like, someone's gonna come and show what true power is, like in a different form or something like that. And I feel like part of that prophecy isn't fulfilled. Lynch not necessarily a person. It's kind of ambiguous. Kage was cool in theory, but the way they did it was so bad. They ruined Madara's entire setup. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's that's why, like, initially when Madara is shafted, everybody's upset, and then like for like probably like 2 chapters, everybody's like, this Kage one might have potential. But then it's like, nah. After that, it's like, nah, definitely not potential. And especially since we eventually learned the series is ending at chapter 700, it's like, you sacrifice Madara for nothing, fam. Writer's block. Writer's block. Some writers to rectify this. Yeah, perhaps writer's block Boruto. Hopefully, when Boruto really gets kicked in the time skip, hopefully it does rectify the issues retroactively. Well, concept of could have been much better if it was done properly. I definitely agree, Patel. Without being rushed, I would have not minded Kage. I still feel Kage should have been introduced more so in Boruto. Yeah, she was a pole. It's just that. I think if she was the same, then he would have learned some skills from the ninja world. The thing is, I prefer Ishiki over Kaguya because at least I get some personality from Ishiki. Some Ishiki wine, at least. At least I can make some jokes, fam. Jeez, some personality. You see like that boasty personality that Madara had in the war? It's probably not as up there with Ishiki, but Ishiki there's something there, isn't it? You can latch on to. Because, for example, I think the biggest example of this is like, even though we haven't really dived into any backstories for like say Kara members in the anime, at least getting those extra scenes to see more personalities and interactions, you gravitate more towards them. So at least Ishiki compared to Kaguya, definitely prefer Ishiki. Plans kind of serious, so he was influenced to make certain things next gen for Boruto, right? Or who he replaced. Yeah, that's potentially true, Jake, because to be honest, I really need to dig up I think there was an interview between Kishi and Kodachi and what Shonen Jump in regards to like Boruto and the fact they wanted to do Boruto as a reboot initially. So that is potentially true. So what I'll say is that even though we have to criticize, what we got at the end of the day, we still have to acknowledge the fact that more than likely editors and the powers that be above Kishi had more like some influence on how things ended more than likely. So I'll give Kishi that. The same, then he would have learned some skills. The chat is I don't think Sanjay can read replies. Naruto, your friend. You're my friend that tried to murder my friend. My brother is an awful revenge time. Wait, he wasn't as bad as I thought. Next, sorry, I learned nothing. Kill them too. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with the Sasuke always changing his mind on some shits. I think Sasuke and Sakura need explaining. He tried to kill her on sight. Yeah, that's the next big thing. Naruto and Hinata and Sasuke and Sakura. Those relationships needed time to be fleshed out, honestly, to make it more believable, because it's just such a jarring thing. Jarring. And I know persons will say like in the novels, more than likely, more like some of these things are explored. But to be honest, not everyone's going to read the novels. And if I have to read extra content to, flesh out stuff that should have been in the main story, I don't think that's good on anybody's part. Especially since it's not even Kishimoto as a writer for those novels. Anthony, I'm not well, yeah, better than the Three Tails arc, but I'm not really including or involving any filler arcs. Looking back, it was the worst in my opinion, but I enjoyed it. I knew the payoff. Then again, I am biased, so I don't think my opinion is granted here. Sula, your opinion is always appreciated here. Stop the foolishness. Jake, yeah, that's what I said. Like, even though with the thumbnail I have, I wasn't trying to say it was the worst arc. It was just like because obviously the question mark is beside it, so I was just kind of doing that as a means of discussion. But when I think about it now, and the fact that I can't really put it above, there's so many arcs I can't really put the Fourth Great Ninja War above. It's like, is it really? I have to think about it. Maybe this is the worst arc. I think only Pain arc and 5 Kages beat this arc. I'm talking about the whole story now. So I'm still including like the Land of Wheels, Chunin exams, Sasuke retrieval, Hunt for Tsunade, Kazekage retrieval. I don't know what the official name for the arc with Hidan and Kakuzu are. Tenchi Bridge with Sasuke. Like, Jokage as a person, if you can call her that, in Boruto and her life within the assistant or even her personality when she was living with humans. Yeah, because to be honest, I haven't watched the Kaguya filler arc, quote unquote. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but yeah, I feel like this is something that Boruto really needs to go into. Hence why I feel like if Kaguya was introduced in Boruto, the setup and build up for her would have been much better. I appreciate Kishi's honesty when he came out and said that he's a beer ass at writing love story. Yeah, that's the thing. I can acknowledge that, and I respect that. Like he came on, it's like, yo, I'm not really good at that and thing, and that's fair enough. But I just think at certain points, they sometimes say common sense isn't common, but there are just at least certain moments I feel like it would have made sense. Like the writing was on the wall for him to at least have at least one more moment between Naruto and Hinata in the main story. Like, you have Hinata confess, and then you do nothing. Like, what? Oh. So a writer literally stole the ending from a fan novel. Oh, wow. Because even Snowy was beer ass. I'm sorry. I find all the females were just there to show off their tits and make kids. Listen, I have been watching Roger's Vs Naruto watch through since he started, and honestly, like, watching back the Hunt for Tsunade arc, Tsunade is honestly probably the best female character in the show. It just comes down to the fact that, similar to like a lot of other characters, she didn't get as much push as she could have gotten to push her even more. So yeah. How long have I been streaming? 1 minute to 1 hour 40. Alright guys, I would love to hear and talk to you guys online. Probably 5 to 7 minutes per person. I don't think anybody came on last stream with the whole Naruto vs Naruto Shippuden, but I'm opening up the Discord link in the description, one person at a time. Hold on. All right, there we go. Let me just bring this over here. I would want to hear what you guys have to say about anything I've talked about tonight, because I want to wrap up the stream within the next 20 to 30 minutes. So each person 5 to 7 minutes, which sounds fair, I think. So let's go, people. Link to the Discord in the description below. It is the only voice channel in the server. Guest scene. Yeah. So I've been trying to kind of mess around with OBS to kind of simulate a seemingly guest scene. So in case any of you want to come on camera, but if you don't, that's fine. It's whatever. But yeah. Jeez, peace. Yeah, I hope the Boruto series does redeem the female characters too. I do love Ida. Well, I guess most persons do. You're leaving already, Sula? Don't want to come onto Discord and talk for at least 5 minutes, 7 minutes? I want to at least get through 3 persons before ending the stream. Do. Going once. The phone lines are open. I have my microphone right now, or I would definitely jump. Oh, Jano. That sucks. Alright, no pressure, he didn't leave. Anybody else? Well, there's 6 persons here. So I seen Leaf is out. Alright, Sula, if you don't mind, you can jump on. It doesn't have to be long, because I said I want to end the stream and actually go get something to eat. But if not, or arc, but I think the power has messed it up for me. There is. Which I don't mind, because as I said, and because of that, I think that has led to our expectations from Naruto and Sasuke in the Boruto era, if I'm being quite honest, when it comes on to the power-ups. Because, and then there's this layer of ambiguity between the war arc and how Naruto and Sasuke are portrayed in the war arc. So, yeah. I understand and acknowledge it. And as I said, it's a kind of like a 50-50 thing for me with the power-ups. So, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I wouldn't argue with you on having a problem with the power-ups. Because, as I said, the jump from... Alright, you see, in terms of my tier... in terms of my tier ranking in Shinobi, I would say there's Genin, Chunin, Jonin, Kage. Then for me, I have Super Ninja above that. Then God level. Then I guess Super God level. Can I put it like that? And I would say Naruto and Sasuke at the start of the war would be like... or like high tier Kage. And I think they go from high tier Kage to they go from high tier Kage to like God level, which is ridiculous. Persons like Hashirama and Madara for me are like upper tier Super Ninja. I'd put it like that. You see me? But these guys jump from that to like mid tier God level. Like it's insane. I must confess. But yeah. I'm wondering for next week's Uchiha corner, does that name have enough ridiculousness to it for these live stream segments, Uchiha corner? But yeah, I'm wondering for like the topics for next weekend's show. What would it be? I'm going to add back Yu Yu Hakusho as like one of the topics to vote for. But I'm wondering if I should include the Land of Waves as a topic for you guys to vote on. And I'm wondering, Land of Waves, Yu Yu Hakusho. Probably I should start, going through the arcs in sequential order. That was Yu Yu Hakusho. What would you guys want to vote on for the next show? Trying to think. First half of the Four Ninja Warriors is my second favorite in Naruto from our shows. Like OG Naruto. So you said the first half is your favorite? I thought the first parts were alright, but with nice moments. But I think the introduction of Madara was what I subjectively needed in my experience watching the war. Second to only OG tuning exams. Yo, the tuning exam arc is forever goated. Doom. Next week. Of course, guys, the end of month live stream, so Uchiha Corner won't be keeping for the end of the month. So basically 2 weeks from now. But next week I want to have one more. I'm starting to wonder if I should invite persons, like special guests for, Uchiha Corner. But I don't know. It'd be crazy if I could invite Naruto Explained for one of these. That would be crazy. Well, who knows? One day, maybe. No promises. But I'm really thinking, like, what are the topics for next week? Another way is that. I guess I'll think about it. But I guess if no one is coming on to Discord here, then I might call it that for the night. Jeez and peace. Oh yeah, yo, honestly, you guys probably are ready to crucify me. I apologize. I haven't done any Black Clover content in forever, but not to where I have been reading it. Magna. Beautiful, isn't it? But yeah, I really do need to do a Black Clover segment. Probably I will put that on the list of topics for Uchiha Corner next week. But what do you think? Like a specific arc or just Black Clover in general? Probably like Black Clover today. Analyzing it, maybe. I'll think of something. So yeah, I really haven't gotten into My Hero formally yet. Okay, fine, come again. You had a problem commenting? I think I only put the How long is my slow mode on for? Is it like 3 seconds? Or 5? Let me see what's happening here. Yeah, it's like 3 seconds. Just wondering. Black Clover Elf Saga. Alright, yeah, I'll put that on the list of things to vote for then. The Elf Saga. I think what makes these things interesting I think what makes these things interesting is that I usually don't reread or rewatch these arcs before coming on for these segments, but I think that makes it all the more fun. So I'll definitely put the Elf Saga in the poll for next week's show. The Elf Saga, if memory goes right, should I take it from when the Eye of the Midnight Sun first attacked the capital to the end of the arc, which is basically be like chapter 26 till about 210, which is crazy. Or just from the elf reincarnation, or even as Infinite Leaf says, the current arc really needs to be talked about as well. So maybe I'll put it as a more recent arc. Hunter x Hunter, it's crazy. I love Yu Yu Hakusho to death, but I haven't gotten into Hunter x Hunter yet. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Talking about chapters 26 to 200 and something Sula, that would be crazy. So maybe I'll talk about the current arc. Yeah, I think I'll probably put it as a current arc. So the current arc of Black Clover, Yu Yu Hakusho is the goat, and I'll probably put the Land of Waves arc as a vote, but I think I want to start including a fourth option for the pool. So yeah. But guys, yo, respect. Like, again, even though it's a case where even though it's a case where I don't get, like, in terms of concurrent viewers, I don't get the amount of person that actually vote in the poll. I still appreciate the guys and girls that actually come out for these streams. You know, kind of mix it up a bit. But in closing, as I said, my thoughts on the arc. The Fourth Ninja War was a hype time for me. It was good. It wasn't the, well, it might arguably be the lowest rated arc in Naruto, with problems here and there, but it had a lot of hype moments, a lot of payoffs. And as I said, it's the finale of our beloved series Naruto. So yeah. So I guess for anybody that actually goes back and rewatches this stream, I hope this encapsulates my thoughts on the arc thoroughly. So yeah. It's one of those series you have to acquire a taste for. Yeah, I feel so. But you know, funny enough, I think because let me tell you, I'm going to get into Hunter x Hunter one of these days, no Sula. But let me tell you what's going to happen. Because there's this weird thing with me. Like, I can see that the art anime is really good. You can tell me it's really good. But I'll probably just not get into it until one day I'll pick it up and then I'll just binge it. Because, for example, Attack on Titan. I didn't get into Attack on Titan till, like, what, 3 months ago? 2 months ago? And for years, persons have been talking about Attack on Titan. Yeah. So, yeah. But anyway, it's 10:07 here. I haven't eaten anything. I probably just might make a super smoothie or something and probably watch that latest Justice League movies. Yeah. So I'm just gonna chill and think for the rest of the night. I hope you guys enjoyed that video I did before the stream. Definitely check that out if you haven't checked it, in terms of my expectations for the the Naruto and Sasuke tag team that's coming up. So yeah. So yeah. But yo, again, guys, thanks for coming out. Right now we're at what, 1,512 subscribers. I know I keep saying the goal for the year is 20,000. Right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be easy getting to that, but the grind continues. So yeah. But yo, everybody just chillax, enjoy the rest of your night, eat some food if you haven't eaten yet. And I don't know if I have any videos planned for tomorrow, but at least if nothing else, you'll definitely see me Sunday morning, noon, or night for the Boruto reaction and review. And hopefully I don't have problems with it like last week Sunday. So yeah, respect for coming out, and Sanjae Uchiha, I'll see you guys in the next Uchiha corner. I should probably make a logo for this. See you guys. Respect again.